All right. This evening, I'd like to call to order the special meeting for the City Council of the City of Perry. It's May 18th, years 2020. It's a Zoom meeting at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Coldern.
Here.
Bond.
Here.
Dillbeck.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
White.
Here.
Morrill.
Here.
Wines. Streller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Item number 1 on this agenda this evening is to conduct a public hearing for the purpose of inviting citizens for input on the application for the Community Development Block Grant to update the city's capital improvement plan. All citizens are encouraged to attend, and particularly those of low and moderate incomes. This is a public hearing for a grant for the CIP with NODA. So if there's any citizens that's here this evening, that's online with us, that would like to chime into this discussion of updating our what am I trying to look for here?
Capital improvement plan.
Yeah, capital improvement plan. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to speak now, feel free to do so. Seeing none, Shashmita Som, do you have something you would like to say? She's with NODA, and she's our representative that's online with us tonight.
So can I go ahead and start?
Yes. Yep. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you all for sharing Zoom in with me. So we are going to apply for this grant, which is a CDBG CIP project. So if we apply for this grant, what we are going to get, like, you know, people live in this city. So if they want to upgrade their street, resurface streets, or water line replacement, sewer line replacement, replacing a roof, all these things that, you know, we use in a city to upgrade these things, we need CIP planning. And it's just a tool. I mean, you know, it's a long range planning tool. And sometimes this tool does help, because sometimes you resurface a street, and after 6 months you think, oh, I have to replace that water line. So all the money that you replace the street with goes down the drain. So that's why we need planning ahead of time, like 5 to 7 years down the line, what we are going to need. Do you want to replace water pumps? Do you want to, you know, paint the water tower inside out? All these kinds of needs you are going to talk about in this planning. And to do this planning, we have to do some paperwork, and that's why we are here. So paperwork for CDBG, Oklahoma, and Department of Commerce, we have to finish 8 paperworks that we have to finish tonight. So let me clear out some of the names that I'm going to use. CDBG, everybody knows, Community Development Block Grant. CIP, Capital Improvements Planning. And GEO-CIP. What is GEO-CIP? GEO, that is Geographic Information System, and CIP is Capital Improvements Planning. ODOC combined those two, so they call it GEO-CIP. So the first thing that we are going to, number 1 out of those 8, is CDBG GEO-CIP resolution. And what is that? It's the, you know, Community Development Act of 1974. It empowers the state. Here, Oklahoma Department of Commerce, they give this grant from federal government, and then Oklahoma Department of Commerce, they give it to the communities, and in this case, City of Perry. Now, City of Perry has responsibility too. If they get this grant, they have to follow, they have to ask help from ODOC if they need, and they have to follow the state and federal rules to execute this grant. That is number 1. Number 2, that is kind of long, that is CDBG CIP, citizen participation. Of course, we are doing a CDBG project, so citizen participation is main. Participation, participation, citizen participation. And that's why city must be willing to implement a citizen participation plan to do this project. So some of the things that should be in that participation plan. First thing, grant should go to low and moderate income people. In our case, we're lucky that this project is helping everybody, not only low and moderate income, the whole city. Number two, public notice. We did the public notice in newspaper or locally, you have to do that. Three, a statement of needs. Why we are doing this? We are upgrading the capital improvements plan, which we did last time, 2005. So it is high time to do another one. Okay, we need a public hearing, which we are doing right now. And we are not spending this grant money, dislocating, displacing anyone. The nature of our project is not like that, the project that we are going to do. And people should know how much money we are spending for this project this fiscal year if we get the grant. Range of activities that we are going to do with this money, people should know that. Regular council meeting and public hearing where people can come and comment. That's a good venue for that. 2 public hearing we have to have 2. One, right now we are doing it. That is the application phase. And another one we are going to do at the end of the project. That is closing. That's must. And any meeting we do, we have to give a 7 days notice ahead of time. And if there are non-English speaking people, you have to help them if they need help. And if for any reason we change the scope of the project, people should know ahead of time. And if we, for no reason, all of a sudden we say, no, we have to get 25% more the budget, people should know that too. And finally, if anyone, they want to have they have complaint, they want to come, and city should, in their notices have address and phone number so that they can complain, and city needs to answer within 15 days. Number 2, that is a fair housing resolution. But in this project, we are not doing any housing project. Our project is not housing. So it really is not applicable to us, but it is paperwork, ODOC, so we have to do it. Number 3, that is also residential anti-displacement. We're not doing a housing project. We're not going to displace anybody for this project. So we are not displacing anybody. We are not relocating anybody. So city doesn't need to, give money to people because they're displaced. Okay, so it doesn't apply either. Number 5, LPAC. You are probably you already did that, but it is Local Planning Activities Committee, because usually what happened, the cities, the department heads, they know their department well, so all of them, and if they're interested citizens, they can join too. So they form a Local Planning Activities Committee. What do? They decide and prioritize the needs for the cities, like how essential that need is. Is it mandatory? Is it that needs something with health and related thing? So that is mandatory. Something is essential, something is desirable, and something is deferable. So there are 4 categories that you can divide your needs for this project. Then we have number 6, which is project narrative. Okay, now project narrative, that is, I need a lot of interaction between community planner and the utilities person. What I usually do for last million years, like I hop into their cars because they know where their valves are, where their fire hydrants are. Maybe the valves are under like 5 layers of resurfaced street already, but he or she knows where exactly it is. So I usually go with them for GPSing for all the city sirens and parks and everything else. Number 7, that is a disclosure and update. For that disclosure, this project, we are disclosing that we have $30,000 for this project, and there are 3 thresholds that we have to meet. If our answer is no to first and second, then third one we don't have to answer. So what is the first one? You cannot. Are you using this project for something, a specific project that doesn't fall under CDBG Ed or public housing operating subsidy? No, we are not applying for anything. We're not breaking any rule. We are under the umbrella where it says that it has to be a CDBG grant. We are a CDBG grant. So no to their question. The question was, are you doing something that is not CDBG? No, we are actually yes. So that is a no. And the second one, are we getting more than $200,000 this fiscal year? No. The whole project is $30,000. So no, we are not getting $200,000 for this project. So our 2 of those answers were no. So third one, we don't have to do it. Number 8, the last one, which is a department review and certification. So there are 2 things they do need. One is a DUNS number. Any physical business, they have a DUNS number. You do have 9-digit. And the other thing is, do you have a registration with SAM? What is SAM? The system for award management. And you have to have a registration with them. Why? To bid on government contracts and to receive grants, you have to have registration. And you guys are good with that. You have a registration number. So we met all the criteria and we finished all our 8 things that we have to do. But all these sheets are to be signed and dated and sealed tonight. Now, last thing that I'm going to say, when we do digital mapping, which I'm going to do, first I'll GPS everything, and then I'm going to do digital mapping. So when we do digital mapping, we give city, of course, the geo data base that we are going to make. And another copy we give to Oklahoma Department of Commerce. Why? Because they upload those regional maps and then they lace it with the whole state. And that is helpful because when, let's say, state of Oklahoma, they apply for the whole state to federal government, they can look at the whole state's, regional maps, and they can count how much money they need for sewer, water, streets, all together. So this tool, Capital Improvements Plan, is a very handy tool. So if you have any question, you can go ahead.
Does anyone have any questions for her? Well, seeing none.
Okay, so then I'm done.
Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you
I
all
also see Jennifer with us this evening. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here.
Where's Jennifer? I don't see her. Where is she?
Maybe she doesn't want you to see her.
Jennifer?
All right. That being said, we will move on to item 2, the motion for adjournment of the public hearing.
Motion to adjourn from Ahern.
Old Iron second.
Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines. Wines,
Yes. Spacebar
Streller.
did not work.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Thank you to Shoshimita and Jennifer both for being here. We appreciate you guys this evening. But at this time, we're going to move on into the Zoom meeting for the regular meeting for the PMA, Perry Municipal Authority, at May 18th, 2020 at 6:15. Roll call, please.
Calderon,
Here.
Bond,
Here.
Dilbeck,
Here.
Ahern,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
White,
Here.
Morrell,
Here.
Wines,
Here.
Streller.
Here. I do declare a quorum this evening. Councilman Ahern, would you please pray for us this evening?
I'd be happy if you guys will pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight to give you honor and praise. You are the source of all of our blessings. We thank you for every gift that we have been given. We thank you for the opportunity to come and gather tonight and through this technology. We ask for your hand of blessing on this meeting. We also would ask that you would guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work and our goals tonight and beyond. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Item number 1 on the PMA this evening is the consent agenda. We have one item, the regular, the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve. Cold iron.
Second. Curtis.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Calderon,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall, Marshall.
I think we lost her.
We lose her? Okay. White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Move on to item 4, comments from those similarly pertaining to the items on the PMA this evening. Seeing none.
Bill, this is a point of order. This is Bryce.
Yeah.
If we lost her under the statute, we're supposed to go get her.
Oh, okay.
Unless before we can proceed.
All right. Thank you, Bryce.
What does go get her mean?
Well, I mean, I guess call her and reconnect her or something. I mean,
Here she comes.
Are you back with us, Jeanette? Can you hear us?
Yes, I got disconnected. Sorry.
It's all
I'm
right.
back.
Bryce used his point of order and made us stop and wait on you.
Okay.
He's been wanting to do that for years.
I'm glad I
let
could
her vote on-
oblige.
Yes.
Yes.
We're voting on.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now then, let's go ahead and redo item 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA then. Seeing none, we will move on to item 5, proclamations, accommodations, and reports inquiries by the governing body pertaining to the PMA. Seeing none, we will, item 6, any new business that needs to come before the PMA this evening. Okay. Item number 7, motion on the adjournment, please.
Cold iron. So moved.
Second, Adjourn.
Roll call, please.
Calderon,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, authority members. We will now move into the Zoom meeting for the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry, May 18th at 6:20. Roll call, please.
Calderon,
Here.
Bond,
Here.
Dilbeck,
Here.
Ahern,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
White,
Here.
Morrell,
Here.
Wines,
Here.
Stroller.
Here. Thank you. I do declare a quorum this evening for the city council meeting. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. It's pretty lengthy. Council, what would you like to do with item number 1?
I'll make a motion. This is Adjourn to approve all items A through J, I'm sorry, in the consent agenda.
Second, Marshall.
Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you, council. Item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the city council agenda this evening. Hearing none or seeing none. Item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Hearing none or seeing none of that, we will move on to item 6, the city manager's report and monthly project updates. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor. May 17th through the 23rd is National Public Works Week. And we would like to take this opportunity to thank our public works departments, our streets, electric, water, and sewer for their hard work. Perry, Oklahoma would look a whole lot different without their dedicated work of the public works department. So we really do appreciate their due diligence and their loyalty, and they're working in all kinds of environments. With Sam Harmon's recent retirement, Chris Burpo will be serving as the interim street supervisor for the foreseeable future. And if you've traveled down 7th Street, it's 77, you will notice that BNSF has some signs up. They'll be working on the tracks at Highway 77 and 7th Street beginning Thursday, May 21st at 6 a.m. And they'll be working all day Thursday and all day Friday, with their working end should end May 22nd at 6 p.m. Our information also says that they have a planned project for the 25th crossing. That should be the next week. However, we don't have the exact date. So we hope to have those by the end of this week, and we'll put that on the website. Mayor?
Any questions for Larry? I did see in your city manager messenger that the response for the census in Perry is 58.7%, which is pretty good. So I'm glad
we're almost close to where we were in 2010. Have a long way to go yet. Obviously, the city of Perry has a lot to gain from as many people as possible participating in the census.
All right. Anything else for Larry? All right. If not, we will move on to item 7 from our Chief Financial Officer, Sir Meacham.
Hey guys, just a little quick update here for you on where we are studying at April. We are 10 months through the year. If you're looking at the financials, we should be about 83% on any individual department number. A couple of highlights and little things that I'd like to at least point to you. Sales tax for the month, as far as we're concerned, and when we look at it and what's going on, this month deposit in May versus May of last year, we're about $4,000 down on the same number of pennies. You have to remember that because of the increase for the hospital, we can't exactly compare dollar for dollars anymore. We have to break it back down into pennies. When we look at that, we're about $4,000 down on what we would have expected. But overall, for the year, as far as budget goes and where we're setting, we're going to be just right on target at our 15% down that we had budgeted and talked about in the original plan. That being said, next year we'll have a little bit more insight in June, where we get our first deposit of the COVID related pieces. That's where we'll really have to start looking at operations and see kind of what we're going to have to project for next year. I'll tell you in the budget and in what we're looking at, we're really planning on probably a 25% decrease in our sales tax number as a starting point. We will closely monitor that for the first 4 months of the year and kind of see where we are. If that trend does not improve and get us back to kind of where we're operating now, we'll probably have to take that down even further, which will mean more cuts. But until we see where things are and until we see what's really going on, I don't want to make any drastic measures and any drastic moves. One of the other things that you will note in looking at the financials was our hotel motel tax. $10,000 is the lowest that it's ever been for a given period. So, or at least since we've gone to the increased hotel motel tax rate, it's the lowest that we've ever had. So kind of a concern there, but we did know people aren't traveling, things aren't going on. So we know that piece is setting out there. If you look at the bottom, we've started adding, and I don't know if this really matters, that you guys really want to think about it, but it is something that we've added at least for consideration, and that's cash on hand. As far as number of months of cash on hand, at the very bottom of the general fund and at the bottom of the PMA, we've kind of given that number. So right now, our cash reserves, we have about 5.6 months worth of general fund cash on hand. Doesn't sound like a lot, but whenever you think about the time that it takes to actually react to sales tax pieces and those kind of things, it's not really like we have a lot of money sitting on hand in the general fund. Moreover, the more concerning one, if you look at cash on hand and are making decisions, cash on hand in the PMA is down 1.8 months, just less than 2 months of cash on hand whenever you take into account all the expenses that we're paying out. So that number, whenever we start talking about getting into these trying times and we start talking about how are we going to fund pieces and how are we going to make sure that things carry on, that's where my concern starts lying. We can do little pieces here, there, and as they come on, but in the big picture, those numbers start getting concerning. We've got a couple of items later on talking about some bids and some things that are out there, and we'll come back and I'll at least stress that maybe again whenever that's there. But overall, if you look at the departments and you look at where the expenses are, we're good as far as what we expected out of everything. Nobody's just blown their budget or is outside of what we expected, knowing certain things are going on. So I'll give us a good grade coming through April. We'll see what happens the rest of May, what happens in June. Again, sales tax will be the big piece that we're watching from that. Any questions?
And Russ, the news you're giving there is pretty rough, but it's even worse with that shirt on.
I was wearing this especially for you tonight, Derek. I thought, since I wasn't dressed up and I didn't have anything else, I had a T-shirt on earlier, but I said, you know what, Derek will appreciate this polo if I wear it for the meeting. So just for you, Boomer Sooner.
You probably found that laying on.
Shirt really explain why you have been horizontal on these Zoom calls instead of vertical in the right way. I get it now.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
He probably found that thing on the beach somewhere today.
Yeah, it just floated up, so I had to wear it.
All right, thank you, Russ. Is there any questions for Russ? He's such a good sport, man. All right, we will move on to item 8. Consider approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $21,922 to the citywide sanitary sewer phase 3 capital improvement contract with North Central Construction Company to increase sod by 4,520 square yards or take such other actions deemed to be directed. Bryce, I'm guessing you got a little bit involved in this, whether we're liable for putting that sod down or they are.
Yeah, what we would ask is that you pass this to your next meeting. We first thought that we probably ought to get this done immediately, but there's questions about how much of this really is from sod that was placed and thereafter damaged, or how much of this was sod which was not part of the original bid, which we have to add back. And Dixie and I went out there today and looked at it. It's an important park and it's an important drainage way. However, almost $22,000 is a lot of money, and we're spending it in a drainage way. And isn't there some other way that we can provide for, grassing in that area without spending this kind of money? I mean, it's not like it's next to our new sidewalk or something, or, although I do know that this park is very important. But a lot of this sod is just going to be located in the drainage ways. So we want to check on other prices, other procedures. I want to check and see how much of this perhaps the contractor should be liable for. And I apologize, we just don't have all that information at this time.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Motion to
Mayor
table?
Streller, it's Jennifer
Yeah,
from NODA. May I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Jennifer.
I believe that your grant is due this year. So I think August, Dixie, isn't it August of this year?
Yes, I believe August is correct.
So I appreciate Bryce checking that out, but I just wanted to plant that seed that we're in May, we still have a few more months, but it is due this year.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. And I do know, I might have heard Derek trying to speak too, but being down there in that waterway, it's real critical that we get something in there to hold that soil, or we're going to have a lot bigger project.
Yes.
And if we go in there and we try to seed something, the root system is not going to be good enough, quick enough if we get some big rains and starts washing that topsoil away. So I believe 100% in Bryce. He can figure it out, and who's liable for what. So at this time, if Derek, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was making a motion to table, that's all.
Okay, all right. Well, go ahead and do that.
Make the motion to table this item until next meeting.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern, Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Item number 9, consider approval of application for retirement pension for Sam Harmon, the former street superintendent. This is a pretty simple item.
Motion to approve.
Application.
Second, Wines.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 10, consider approval of a certain resolution, plans, narrative, and committee related to the application for the Community Development Block Grant to update the city's capital improvement plan.
Mayor, are we just going to
Separate
go
motions.
through these items?
We need separate motions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item A.
We need a second on each one.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second A.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item B.
Motion to approve item B.
Second. White.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item C.
Motion to approve item C.
Second. White.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item D.
Motion to approve item D.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item E.
Motion to approve item E.
Second. White.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item F.
Motion to approve item F.
Second. Wine.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item G.
Motion to approve item G.
Second. Wines.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item H.
Motion to approve item H.
Second. Moral.
Coldarn,
Roll call. I'm sorry, Dixie.
that's okay.
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Item number 11, discuss the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure that we have plenty of things that we probably ought to be discussing and need to discuss. So I'll open this up to council. If anything y'all would like to have a discussion about. Go ahead, Bryce.
Well, I would just say, one issue is the curfew ordinance. Another issue, and I guess I'd ask Larry this because I don't know. Have we opened the playgrounds again?
Yes.
Yes, everything's open.
Yes.
Yes,
We have-
everything is
okay.
open.
So, I think we have left the juvenile curfew. And then on another item, we can discuss it here or discuss it there, is the item on having tournaments. I suppose another item could be these meetings. Are we going to continue to Zoom, or are we going to get back together? And I think that's just a personal feeling among the council. We can continue this until state law says that we don't have to do it anymore. And so if there are some, folks in the council would prefer to, I think that these meetings have been effective. But, if you want to get back together, we can do that. So I would say juvenile curfew, ball fields, continuing Zooming, those would be at least 3 issues to start out the discussion.
Hey, Bryce, this is Cold Iron. Along those lines, I feel right now we should continue doing the Zoom meetings due to, like, for example, we've got a couple items on here, even though it's really an executive session, that might draw crowds, and that would be hard to social distance right now inside of our chambers.
Oh, I think I'm part of the administration. We have no no problem with continuing Zooming. And Russ, of course, in Florida right now, you have no problem with it either, do you, Russ?
Really no big objection right now. I think I'll pass on that objection.
And you can see his house, how nice his house is there in the background. So I just want to give him
I
a hard time.
I do have a question. Can you sit on the beach in Florida, or do you have to walk on the beach in Florida?
You can actually sit on the beach in Florida and sunbathe. So, I was thinking about pulling out the Speedo for tomorrow.
Yeah, let's count that one off. Okay. All right.
When you get back, we're going to need to talk about this house you have in Florida, and as the city council, what our options are for renting it. We're going to need to discuss this more.
Oh, all right. We'll have further discussions.
Okay.
All right. We have an item on the agenda for baseball tournaments. We can talk about that now. I think we need to talk about, I think Lee's on with us, about just Little League Perry kids. I mean, do we turn them loose to go play baseball? What's the feeling of the council?
I know that other towns all around us have already opened this up, and that tournaments are starting to go full force. And I know we want to be cautious. Everybody does. But I do feel that if we don't open this up, that they're just going to leave us in the dust because they're already going to have interests elsewhere.
Mayor, if I could jump in here.
Sure.
Over this past weekend, there were 170 teams in Oklahoma that played baseball. There were more teams in Oklahoma that played softball. Recently, since this weekend, Lee has talked to the hosting directors asking if they experienced any issues or complaints that were COVID related, and none of them mentioned any issues. BMAC has already canceled 2 previous tournaments of this thus far in the season. The next BMAC tournament is scheduled for May 30th and 31st. Currently, we have 35 teams signed up, with teams from small towns and larger towns like Edmond, Oklahoma City, Stillwater, Enid, Tulsa, Ponca City. And the following week is the Memorial Tournament. They have 35 teams already signed up and a waiting list. Lee has done a great job, I think, of developing a program that will follow CDC guidelines for sporting events and also guidelines other directors have mentioned. And if I could just go through a list here, I'll make it as brief as possible, but that's block off bleachers and request spectators to bring their own chairs, sit as a family, experiencing social distancing. We've also discussed allowing the vehicles to surround the field where their kids are playing on the outside, so they can stay in their car. That kind of depends on if they want to dodge balls that may come up their way, and also how wet the field might be on that outside of the field. Players will be encouraged to wear their own helmets, use their own bats, no handshaking, no pinky swears or anything like that. Awards will be handed to the head coach. No team ice chest allowed. Hand sanitizers available in multi-locations throughout BMAC. Restrooms and concession stands sanitized frequently. Concession stand employees will be wearing masks and gloves. And right now, I agree with Curtis that we need to open this and we need to get playing ball. And continue through the rest of the season, assuming, of course, that we don't see a big spike in cases.
Derek?
I was going to say, do you have any concerns on those vehicles and insurance, or what kind of issues we might have there?
Yeah, well, we haven't got there yet, but we do understand that.
I would actually encourage that maybe we don't do that. And if they would like to take their lawn chairs and sit around the fence somewhere, but I just think it's a bad idea. You got people trying to get out of there, and you get some more cars trying to get in for the next game. That's just a nightmare.
Okay.
Larry, what about the restrooms? Are there any concerns there? Would we have to mark off any of the middle stalls or anything like that to be able to make sure that there's social distancing there?
If Lee's on, Lee, can you address that, please? I do know that he has an attendant that is all there all the time from the beginning to the end. She doesn't come in and just clean and then leave and pick this up the next day. So, Lee, if you have any comments?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay, yeah, we the women's stalls are all individual stalls, and Kathy Coker, that does an amazing job of cleaning everything, wiping those down on a periodically to keep them sanitized the best we can. But once you go to that point, the bathrooms will be the biggest issue that will fall on the tournament, because you only got one bathrooms at BMAC. So that will be the biggest issue, but it will be the most cleaned.
Any other questions for Lee?
I have heard that our bathrooms are the cleanest for the
They
travel
do.
teams that come through. So I did have several parents that reached out and did comment about that and how clean we keep our ball fields.
Well, it's of my opinion that we let these kids go play baseball. I think that Lee has done a great job of trying to prepare this. I think he will do everything in his power to keep them safe. But I think that it'll turn into chaos. And I'm not being negative about that. I mean, once you get the parents there and they're going to start intermingling, and who's going to patrol and say, stay away from each other. And, but as far as Noble County is concerned, and Perry and the surrounding areas, as far as I've been told and things I've heard, is that our numbers have dropped. I know that in Perry we don't have a case, and I don't think we have one in Noble County. And so at some point we have to make an effort to go back to normalcy. And I think that this is, of my opinion, something that we go ahead and do. And Lee, you're doing a great job. I think as long as we say this is our standards and this is what we want y'all to do, we're doing our part. So, but that's just my opinion.
Lee, sorry.
Go ahead.
I've been reading some of the other guidelines and things that other cities are putting out there. And a couple of them are around concession stands, especially since sunflower seeds and some of those other things are peanuts and those kind of things, snacks that we would be providing that somebody has to come back and clean up after it's been in someone else's mouth. Do you see that we would be trying to limit some of those? I mean, I could see that would not be something that somebody wants to go clean up today with everything that's going on.
Yes, there is several of them, and actually on where I got tournaments listed, it actually has no sunflower seeds listed.
That's what
at least for the May 31st one. But it is listed. Now, whether or not how much we can limit that is another thing, but we can do the best we can of at least enforcing it at the gate, trying to relay it or put big signs up that they're not allowed inside the complex with sunflower seeds.
Well, that's what this is Bryce, what I was going to add. In Oklahoma, signage does work. It may not work on the spectator, but it does limit your liability. And perhaps we should look at the other places that have had tournaments, and we look at what kind of signage we should have, like, parents, grandparents should be responsible for your children, and ensure social distancing. Coaches need to ensure that to the best, where we actually put some things that we recognize that this COVID-19 is there, and we lay up some issues, and we talk about placing that responsibility. I'm sure somebody has posted that kind of signing that perhaps, Lee, you can look into, and we can just copy, or if you need some help on it, I would be happy to do it. But we probably ought to have some signage that would assist in limiting liability if somebody wanted to make a complaint. I mean, we at least took steps. And all these steps that we take, we really ought to write down and, memorialize in case, something happens.
And I don't know, but as far as enforcement, the umpire is in charge of ejecting people and things like that. I guess we could put that on them too during these tournaments, right? If they see somebody spitting sunflower seeds.
Sure. I mean, and we should probably come up with placards. I mean, they can be polite, but we probably ought to address that, I would think.
Sure. Have we discussed, Lee or Larry, have we discussed, since we are kind of, I mean, I know we're going to have a tournament for everybody, but we're kind of inconveniencing them with no stands and different things. Have we discussed possibly discounted gate prices or no gate prices or anything like that just to help with these, get these things, or do we want to charge them so we don't get too many people?
I think you got to stay with the gate and running the gate prices. I mean, that's to help balance some of the cost of running a tournament. That makes it an issue. I would say 80% of the people that attend the tournaments are bringing their own lawn chairs anyway. Bleachers, there's not a whole lot of people that actually sit in the bleachers. So I think if we can just make all the fans spread out down the fences, there's not much inconvenience to them to actually showing up at the ballpark.
Okay.
And if you're setting your fans around the outside of the ballpark, they don't even have to come in and pay, correctly?
Yes, if they stay on the outside, they do not have to pay. Now, if they do come in and say they want to just use the restroom, or they just want to go get them something to eat and then come back out, we'll work with people like that. We'll whatever they do too on not being so strict.
Any other discussion on the ball, Perry Kids or the tournaments? Now, there's two different objects in my mind we're talking about. We're talking about the little leagues in Perry playing their regular season, and we're also talking about tournaments.
That's what I was just about to ask. So is this for both of them?
Yes. Lee?
Yes, the Perry Kids, the league tournament or league start date will be this Thursday, the 21st, if it's a go-ahead. If not, we're probably just cancel league altogether, since we won't have much time frame after that. But it will be implemented to the best of the possibility for league also.
Now, you told me one time, Lee, who all comes to that? You got an Enid team and a Ponca City team and Morrison. Who all comes into that?
Yeah, Tonkawa, Ponca, Enid, Perry, Morrison, Ripley, Stillwater.
Are all those games going to be played here? I know you said some of them were going to be home team here, but are those kids going to travel anywhere? And the question is, are those fields going to be open?
Yes. From what I understand, Morrison is following whatever Perry does. Is what my understanding is. Tonkawa's fields, as far as what I've heard, May 15th, they open their fields up. So they said they are ready to go May 21st.
Okay. Any more discussion on the baseball fields? Are we going to grant approval for our ball season to start?
I think it's individual choices by adults and their families. I say we go ahead and open them back up and let them play ball.
I do too.
Was that an emotion? Because I didn't hear it as an emotion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
It's not time for that yet. That's like number 16 or 17.
Let's do it now before we change our mind.
Yeah, it can be it can be approved here also. That is that's about a BMAC tournament. We're talking more like just in general baseball here. So if someone would like to put that in a form of a motion, that would be fine. Is that what you did, Curtis?
Yes, but since we're on, I mean, we weren't just discussing ball fields here, right?
No, but we
So-
can do that individually and come back to something else.
Okay, well, I will definitely make a motion to approve us opening the ball fields back up.
Second.
Any further discussion on that topic? All right, Dixie, would you do a roll call for me on that, please?
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Muted it, sorry, yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. All right, let's have a discussion on the curfew that has been put in place at 9 o'clock. Dixie, you might refresh my memory on that. Did that have an expiration date, or was that up to the council, or for me to expire that?
I do not believe it had an expiration date. Bryce wrote it. He might remember.
I don't think it
Yeah.
did.
No, it didn't, but you can tonight end it tonight.
Yeah, that's what my memory was, that we could end it as a council, or I would have to sign something in that.
Before we get too far,
Go ahead, Derek.
sorry.
No, go
Before
ahead.
we get too far into this discussion, can I ask Bryce one question real quick about the last topic?
Sure.
Hey, Bryce, do we need any kind of motion on the signage or anything like that to make sure that
You know,
happens?
if you want to make one and you want to ensure, yes, I would make a motion on that. Yes, we can make any series of motions on COVID because, you know, although it says discussion, the front of the agenda says any motion that you want on any item, even if it says discussion. So yes, if you want signage, you don't have to go back and amend it. You can just say that you want signage at the, you know, at the ball fields.
Bill, you okay with me making that and
Yeah.
then moving
Yes.
on?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we have appropriate signage for the rules clearly displayed around the ballparks after they're open.
Second, Wines.
Roll call, please.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank
Sorry
you,
about that,
Derek.
Bill.
Jamie. No, that's quite all right. I'm glad you brought that up. All right. What do we want to do about the 9 o'clock curfew that we've had for juveniles in the city of Perry since all this started? Do you guys feel like that we can remove that now? It's getting to be summertime. The kids are wanting to go hang out. Again, I say that we don't have issues in the city of Perry right now.
I think it's up to the parents. I mean, at this point, we've seen our cases go down. People are allowed to gather within 10 people. I mean, kids who are going to be hanging out, they're going to be hanging out anyways. I feel like we did our part to try to keep everybody safe through while the breakouts were happening. And I feel like at this point, it's up to the parents to continue to make sure that we're all doing our part to keep our kids safe.
Motion to remove the curfew, juvenile curfew.
I'll second that with a oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Derek.
Don't we actually have another curfew that's always in place for a later time, or is that not the case anymore?
Oh no, that is the truth. There's a later curfew. You're not repealing that ordinance. You're just repealing the changes made, which set the dates or set the times earlier.
Which is 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m. Yes.
Any further discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Is there anything else that anyone would like to have a discussion about under this topic?
is there anything left in that proclamation that we still have active, just so we're aware of those things?
I don't recall off the top of my head. As some of you may know, that we went ahead and started doing cutoffs. May 5th, I think it was, or I don't remember the exact date.
Yes, it was May 5th.
And we did catch a little grief over that, but we're willing to work with anyone that would come forward. And the problem is that some of them missed the payment due to us on April 20th, and then they went to May 20th and they missed that one. I'm sorry, it would be April. I mean March and then April. I'm sorry, March and then April. So they missed two, and there was some that missed both of those and still had zero correspondence with us. And so when you roll past April 20th, then you're already well into your third month. And so that's one thing that we did start back on May 5th, and we have in place now.
Is
But
the senior center still closed?
I don't know that. Does someone know that Tyson is saying yes?
Larry was talking, but he's on mute, I believe.
Is the library back open, Larry? Someone go in there and tell Larry he's muted. I think he got it, Tyson. Maybe you muted yourself again. Hit it one time. There you go. Stop.
Go. All right.
Stop.
Okay. Library is open, limited. They won't open totally to the public until June 1. The senior citizens will remain closed until further notice. What we're really looking for is the okie dokie from the governor, and I don't see that in anything that that he's passed and sent down our way.
What is the plan, Larry, for City Hall?
City Hall open to the public today. We're screening folks that come back towards go to the green room or come back to see someone from us. We have 3 screens set up in front of the ladies so that they feel protected. So we're not screening anyone that comes in the lobby, but anyone that is not an employee that has not been screened at the beginning of the day comes in, and they get screened before they are allowed to enter in. Did I answer?
Do you have anybody sanitizing like door handles or anything, countertops like that regularly?
Do that all day, all throughout the day. I saw the ladies doing that 3 or 4 times today.
And I know you said it's limited right now, but how do you clean book pages and stuff like that if somebody comes in there and starts turning pages and all that?
They don't do each page. They do the outside, and they use some kind of sanitizer that they put it aside for a day or 2, and that's supposed to take care of all the germs.
Probably about the way they do the grocery store, Derek. What about hours for City Hall? What do you, because I knew you were working to 4 o'clock. Are we back to 5 now that you're open? What is the process here?
It's still 8 to 5.
It's 8 to 5 or 8 to 4?
I mean 8 to 4. I'm sorry. It's 8 to 4.
Are we going back to 5 o'clock, or what is your scope?
My idea is to keep it at 8 to 4.
Okay.
Unless council directs different. We think we get to serve our customers correctly. They've with this pandemic, they've realized that there are other ways to do business without coming in and physically handing. They can do the drop box. They can pay online. I think it's been a great education for our customers to see that they can reach us other times and other ways besides just coming in and doing physical contact. We love our customers. We love interfacing with our customers, but there's also other ways to handle doing business.
So have we looked into an app before, a payment app for the city you can partner with?
Tyson's saying no.
Don't we have some issues with that by who we use to do our payments, Dixie?
Tyson is saying yes.
Currently, we use, it's through the state of Oklahoma to do our credit card payments. They are by far cheaper than anything else that we have found. And we have preferred to stick with them, not only for the cost, but also because of the security that they go through. Joel Hall does a lot of our IT work, and he is very pleased with the security side of what the state of Oklahoma does, not so much with anything else we've looked into. And if you have an app where they can actually look on the app and see what they owe and so forth, you're opening up our records, and it's a bigger chance of being hacked. The cost to make sure that we had the security in place that was needed, we just felt it's cost prohibitive for what the city can do.
Okay, I was checking. I use a smart hub out of a McIntosh County, and it's pretty slick how it works. So I wanted to make sure I asked if we've looked into anything like that.
Do
No, I
you
don't-
know?
Go ahead, Dixie. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if you have the company name or any further information and you could share it, I would be happy to do further checking into it. I mean, we have not checked on it recently. I would say it's been at least 2 years, but after a lot of research at that time and the general consensus between Joel and Russ and Bryce and everything we had to look into, it was just that was not something we could do at this time, but I'm certainly happy to look into something else.
Sure.
Well,
No problem.
Dixie,
I can stop by and. Sorry, Bryce.
Oh, I just, Dixie, isn't the issue that this state of Oklahoma doesn't discount the charge?
That is correct. They do not.
And so the
why
issue is, the issue is, there's actually a legal issue. Can we discount the charge, or is that giving a gift? I mean, I haven't gone that far to say that. And I think probably you can for better access because if you use good systems, simpler systems, you might get more payments. But, when every penny counts, Russ, how do you feel?
Well, I would agree. In everything that we've looked into, our big issue is related to, the security and uploading the information. As far as getting the payment, the discount and that issue, everybody that accepts credit card payment effectively either passes through the charge on to the customer or eats it. Although we don't have anybody that will actually eat the cost, we go ahead and pass it on everywhere that we do this. So I think whenever you look at it, it's more the security on uploading customer information and balances into the system. And then the complexity of what we were looking at using really was going to only cause us more issues related to customer service than it was going to put out fires, at least whenever we looked at it a couple of years.
And to add to that, though, Russ, it might be worth, if it's been a few years since we've checked into it, might be worth checking it out, especially since our AMR is coming along, and eventually we might want a portal, excuse me, for our end customers to log into and see power and water and different things. This just kind of goes along with it, so I think it's a good question that Jamie had.
Well, and there is an integrated portal that goes along with our AMR. But we wanted to get that up and running first. And that integrated portal will actually let them log in and see their usage and do those things,
right.
Which at the end of the day would integrate into balances and those other pieces that we could put all in that one portal. But we wanted to get AMR up and running, get all of that going before we even looked into doing the next step.
No, right. I just meant that might be a bundle deal going forward that we could benefit for all of our constituents here to get.
I don't know. Someone may be able to tell me, but I'm sorry, Jamie, just a second. Sometime back, I mean, it's been several years ago, the bank website had a pay your bill thing on it. I didn't do it. I seen it there. I'm assuming we're not involved with that. Is that correct?
Well, as far as if people have, I think either local bank has the bill pay where people can pay the bill and they mail us a check.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. I don't know what it is. I just seen it said bill pay on there. And so I didn't know.
I mean, you can pay any bill that you owe. You just log in with the whoever vendor that you owe to, and
Okay.
tell it to send them a check on your behalf.
Yeah, and I seen something up at Homeland. I'm assuming that doesn't have anything to do with City of Perry. It says pay your bill here, so maybe something similar.
Dixie, I'll just come by sometime and show you guys how this works. I just signed up for it. It's pretty slick, and it kind of shows you your usage and everything on your phone and reminds you and stuff. But I just thought it would be something I could show you guys and see at some point if it feels like it's something for Perry and where we need to go. But
I think I would appreciate that. I have one that's for a rural electric cooperative that I use myself, and it works great. It's the same way. I can see the usage and so forth. And I'd be happy to check on that again. So yeah, when it's convenient, just come by and we'll look it over.
Is there anything else that we need to have a discussion about on this pandemic situation? I know that it'd be following, the different phases, but I know a lot of churches are going to try to get back in the swing of things, and I really encourage that. I think there was a few churches maybe this last weekend held services.
I think the other issue is, are we going to continue to Zoom? And if we are, I think a motion to continue to Zoom until, the council determines that we won't Zoom anymore would be appropriate.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Did someone second that? We didn't hear you if you did.
I did. At the same time as someone else, but that was Wines.
Take ownership, huh?
Moving along. I took up enough time with the nap. I was trying to make up.
It was you talking.
I said I was trying to make up time.
Roll call, please.
Coldern.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
Stillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Okay, if we're done with that, let's roll. Jamie wants to go do something else, I think. Item 12, review bids on actuator and valve replacement project at the Perry Water Treatment Plant. Receive canvas of bids, receive recommendation of Cowan Engineering Group, award bid to the lowest responsible bidder on the project in the amount of a lowest responsible bid. In the event the lowest bidder does not receive the award, detail the reason for choosing other than the lowest bidder, authorize the mayor to execute the notice of award of a bid, and upon receipt, review and approve by the city attorney of the bonds, insurance, contract, and power of attorney to execute the public construction contract, authorize the funding source. All right. The very last thing I said is the problem. We've been asked to hold this over for a couple different reasons. They're still trying to figure out who the lowest and best bidder is. There were some issues with the lowest bidder, and we're trying to resolve those issues. And Mr. Meacham says we don't have the money. So this was presented to the Malzahn Foundation for approval. Due to the pandemic and the stock market and everything, they have chose not to award any distributions until August. So that someone thought possibly that they approved it, but they weren't going to give us any money until August, and that is not accurate. They have not done anything with the application that we have submitted. So we won't know that till August either. So Russ was talking about how much money we had on hand, 5 months and 1 month, almost 2 in the PMA. So Russ, would you like to share with that, please?
Well, this was the item that I was talking about a little earlier in the financial report, and I guess at this point, number one, we need to work out the lowest and best bidder, and number two, Larry and I need to sit back down and go through the drawing board and really look at what monies we want to use to to make this happen. The whole intent originally, whenever we went out for bid and everything else, was we were getting this miles on money. We had it. This was a project that needed to be done, and it was going to be great to have it done with that grant money and those funds coming in. Not saying that it's not going to happen, but give us a little time maybe to follow up and see exactly where that process is, see if we can get it back in under that piece, see if we want to go ahead and take this money out of reserves to get the project done now, because we did get what I consider pretty good bids on this. They were under engineer estimates, so that was at least encouraging. But taking just cash out of our operating funds right now to go do this project is a little concerning to me. And I want to make sure that we don't leave ourselves in a cash issue going forward.
Russ, Larry, I know that I think this is one of those projects that we said, I know that we don't want to, but this is one of those projects we said we could split up, I think, if I recall correctly. Do you guys have an idea what that would look like? And maybe, if we could do one piece of this to keep us from a bigger issue of not being able to serve the people, and then maybe come back once we do have the ability to get some monies from the Malzahn Trust to finish it up, or do we have an idea what that looks like?
So Derek, we did bid this out in a manner that we could split this piece up. Bryce and I have been through that discussion this week about dividing it. And when we got the numbers, we saw that they were under, but we knew that we didn't have the Malzahn money. One of the concerns that was raised, and maybe Larry wants to speak to this more, but one of the concerns that was raised was having a multiple facet system out there and the potential for error if we didn't get it done right. So we're doing these two actuators under this system, and we got these other 4 running in this way, and just the overall issues and potential concern that would have. Larry, you want to address that further?
Yeah, it's certainly an involved project. It's something that we don't really want to piecemeal. We'd rather do it all at once. And it is very important that we get this done. It could affect our ability to service our customers, and that's the last thing we want to do. We just have some questions that we need to resolve, and includes the financing. To me, we're going to talk about some things in executive session. I think this is most important than getting really aggressive on the easements for the dam project.
My main concern is we've been through this process. I don't remember if it's been a year ago now, but with the sewer plant, when that deal collapsed, I mean, we kept talking. It's going, got one pump left. We got one pump left. That thing goes bad, and guess what? It went bad. And so this is kind of the same scenario. I believe in Russ. Russ says we don't have it, but council has to know that if something goes bad, we can't provide water to our citizens.
And I think that's where my question was coming from, in that I understand that we want to do it all together, but if we don't have it, can we make sure that we do have a way to service the citizens until we can get it all done?
I think that we have more time on the dam project than we do on the filters and actuators. I lose more sleep over the filters and actuators than I do the dam at this particular point in time.
But anyway, item 12, administration has asked us to table this for these 2 reasons tonight for the meeting.
Motion to table item 12.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you, council. Item 13, consider items pertaining to the AMR system. Item number 1 is item A, I'm sorry, consider payment to UTS for the census annual hosting fee in the amount of $12,635. The census annual analytics enhanced hosting fee for the water in the amount of $6,130. And the census annual analytic enhancing hosting for the electric in the amount of $10,000. This is for them hosting the programs and all the software and everything we do to make those systems work.
I make a motion to approve all the items listed in item A.
On second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item B, consider payment to UTS for 32 3/4-inch meters in the amount of $4,480 and 12 1-inch meters in the amount of $2,580. Are these just meters to have on hand in case meters go bad, or does someone know why we're buying 32 meters? There'd be 44 meters actually, but Larry, do you understand what's going on here?
I don't know if this is for inventory or for meters that have yet to be installed. I do know that that's one of the things that we're waiting on is for other meters, electric meters and water meters that are different size than normal to come in so that we can finish that project. And once that project is finished, all the meters are in, then we'll go to this customer portal that we're really excited about.
Council, you guys got any questions on item B? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I was just going to say, it certainly seems like we've been doing this a lot and getting more.
I tend to agree with you. We can't move on until someone does something.
I'm still trying to figure out if we need these or not. You know, I don't know what my vote should be since I don't know if they need them right now.
Dixie, do you have any idea what they are?
No, I was just pulling out the invoice. It looks like the ship date was just March 31st. So it's not like as if it was an old order and we're just now getting invoiced for it. So I am not really certain. I know the last I checked, and this was prior to us shutting down for COVID, we lacked approximately 35 both water and electric meters, getting all of the new ones installed. And we stopped at that point because we weren't sending crews into people's yards for a non-emergency need. It's possible that these were that last group, but I don't know that positively.
Well, these are already invoices for things that we've already taken into our possession. So I'm not sure if not paying them is an option. We'd have to approve these invoices and send them back if it was something we didn't need anyways. But to me, I think more of what we're asking is, can we get an update of where we are on meters and what is our inventory plan? How many of these do we need to keep in stock for replacements or new meters as they come on? What is that agreement that we have for, is it 5, 10? Is it going to be 35? But that's something I think that we need to know. How many more times are we going to see these meters come up on our agenda?
Yeah, and these lead me to believe that they're probably home meters, being 3/4 inch and 1-inch meters. They're not going to be like an industrial size meter. So
we can provide that for you, certainly.
Okay, yeah. We can get an update next time. I'll make the motion to approve these invoices that for the meters.
Thank you, Jamie. Was there a second? I'm sorry, I might have interrupted somebody.
Ahern seconded.
Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item C, consider payment to UTS for MTR 4-inch Omni C2 in the amount of $3,510.
I do have an explanation on that if you want it.
All right.
That
go.
is the meter for the new school location.
Okay. I figured it was something big being a 4-inch meter.
Motion to approve C.
Second, Wines.
Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Item 14, grant permission for Danny Jarrett to stabilize the bank and place riprap at the lake's edge to create a rocky area for fish can spawn on Jarrett's property in the northeast quarter, whatever PT stands for, northwest quarter, and all of the southeast quarter of section 31, township 21 north, range 1 west of the Indian Meridian, and at or near the Perry Lake edge, improvements at no cost to the city of Perry. I believe Larry's been dealing with this. Larry?
We've been dealing this since 2017. Mr. Jarrett came up with an idea that he would like to enhance the fishing out there with using riprap, which came from the old elementary school site. He's since that's been taken down, he has been diligently removing all the exposed rebar so that it's safe. And he's also had the wildlife folks come out and approve what he's doing. Right now, we have permission from the Department of the Army and other agencies to put riprap. He originally wanted to put a dock and let's see, a dike and a dock out there at the end of this riprap, make riprap all along, and the Corps of Engineers did not like that. They don't approve that. They don't allow that in this type project. Any questions or anything? And if you have this in your packet, you can see where he's. This is where the dike and dock was going to be. This is something that they do not want. So the riprap would be right along in here.
Should be no objections from Russ, right?
It is at no cost.
What we'd like to do on item 14, council.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item 15, approve a payment in the invoice to Monsoon Consulting, including invoice of $1,050 related to the Phase 3 Sanitary Sewer Project, invoice in the amount of $900 for work on the wastewater treatment plant issue, and an invoice in the amount of $1,050 for technical assistance in the Perry Green Farms fire flow analysis. This is money that we owe the Monsoon Consulting. Blaine's been doing some work for us on some small projects. We just need to get him paid.
Motion to approve the invoices.
Second, Wines.
Any further discussion? A roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 16, authorize eligible e-signatures for the fiscal year 2020 grants for the FAA division grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 17, discuss approval of tournaments at the BMAC field. I don't know that what kind of discussion we want to have. We had a pretty lengthy discussion a while ago. I think we made some motions a while ago. Bryce, is there anything we need to do on this? Means we handled all that back in the pandemic discussion.
No. No, I think we're good.
Can we just move on then?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We need to discuss and set dates for the public hearing for fiscal year 2020 and 21 or 2021 budgets. Larry, do you have a plan set forth for this already?
I do not have a date right now. Want to talk to Russ and see exactly how close we can get as soon as we possibly can get. I do know there's some statutory deadlines, and Russ can probably attest to that a little bit better.
So we have to provide a draft of the budget to the council by June 1, which we actually have a meeting on June the 1st. So that's going to work out really well for us on that piece. And we have to hold the public hearing 15 days prior to the start of the year, which June 15th actually would apply to that. And again, we have a second meeting that date. We can always have a special meeting in there sometime the week of June the 8th if council would like. That would give us a couple of opportunities, to talk about it and have it ready to go and be adopted. In theory, on the 15th would be what I would like to do. That way we kind of have everything shut down. Worst case scenario, it has to be adopted 7 days prior to the start of the fiscal year, which is June the 23rd. So we can do any of those that you guys want in whatever order you have. Dixie will have to post the hearing date 7 days prior, so we'll have plenty of time to get that done too. So just kind of looking at the calendar, it's up to you all on what you all want to do and how you want to go through this year's budget cycle.
And if I may, council, if you have some suggestions of things you would like to see as far as detail, let me know. Please don't reply to everybody, but just let me know and we'll go from there. Try to provide as much information as you can, answer as many questions as we possibly can so that we can expedite this as fast as possible.
The wish list this year for the budget is going to be pretty flat. So don't be ashamed to me wish list. Any discussion, council?
Will we see our first draft? Do we have an idea on that?
I sent the first round of numbers to Larry today for he and I to start working through. I don't know what Larry, what your schedule is on getting back and narrowing those numbers down.
Well, we'd like to have a couple of days to look at it, a couple of days for you and I to talk about what needs to be done to move this along. And we hope to have something before June 1, definitely. And plenty of time for you to look at it and really study it and feel confident in your position going forward. That's one of the things that we try to do, is to make certain that you feel that we give you enough information that you feel confident in your decision.
Well, if there's any way possible, I like to see something try to get out sometime next week, maybe early the week or midweek. I just encourage you two to get together and hash out what you can as quickly as you can. Get back from the beach. Get off the beach.
I was hoping to go to the beach.
We're not paying for that one either.
I was working all morning making sure he had it before I saw the beach.
I've talked to Bryce before when he's on the beach. I could hear the water.
I agree with
better
you,
than
Bill.
me.
I agree with you, Bill. I think if we had a copy quicker rather than later, that'll help us decide, what dates we need to do and how much actual conversation we're going to have.
Well, guys, I kind of give you some quick little pieces that are on the budget, and the things to remember. Number one, all the capital outlay that's going to be included in this budget is going to be dollars that are related to money that's funded from the Malzahn Trust. We're not going to fund any capital outlay in this budget out of operations. Right now, it's about $600,000 in the general fund. It's about $400,000 worth of capital projects in the PMA that were coming out. That's kind of the start of the piece. The concern comes whenever we're looking at operations, guys. Here, the big issue that I think everybody has to get their hands around, at least at this point, is 70% of our budget is related to personnel services, between 65 and 70%. It's people. Whenever it comes time to start making cuts in budgets, and it comes down to what are we going to do on the personnel side. We're having this conversation multiple times over with all of our municipalities right now. Operating supplies, sure, there's a little bit here and a little bit there, but whenever you take a look at the first draft of the budget, and we've got $1.2 million that we need to cut out because sales tax is down and because recurring revenues aren't there that we've had in the past, and we know that we don't want to eat into fund balance. Hey, we just had it the other night at one of the meetings. One of the councilmen sat down and said, hey, you know what? We've saved money over the years for years like this. We want to see what the first quarter of the year is going to look like. We want you guys to make decisions based on what we're going to have as we go through the year. Let's subsidize the first quarter of the year and kind of keep us where everything's stable, knowing that in September and October we may have to make cuts if sales tax hasn't bounced back and those things haven't done what they've done. That's kind of the ideas that some people have looked at. I kind of like that piece. We do have some cash reserves. Mind you, we wouldn't need into 100% of them, but we could subsidize some operations at least for the first quarter. But by the same token, once we get through the first quarter, we've got to have a game plan that if sales tax hasn't returned, what is our new normal and what decisions are we going to make at that point? Just the other day, state legislature went in session, and they were voting on a bill to look at postponing the due date of a budget because everybody thought that it was up in arms and didn't have anything. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm the one that says there's not a more important time for us to look at the budget and look at what's going on than in the middle of a crisis that we're in right now. We've got to sit down and look at what are the mandatory services, what are the pieces that you all really want to provide, and how are we going to make sure that those happen. If you guys say this is a priority, this is a priority, and this is a priority, we're going to put those at the very top, and we're going to make sure those are funded. And if it says that we've got to cut out these three things to fund those main priorities, then that's what we're going to have to do. But these are some of the decisions that it has to start with what are the overall priorities of the council and the overall priorities of where you all want us to take the city, and then look at what dollars we really have available to meet those priorities. To the extent we don't have funding and we don't have those dollars available, we either go out and raise them by the only thing we really have to do is raise utility rates, or we cut out other services in order to fund those pieces. those are going to be the decisions. And this is going to be probably one of the harder budgets, even for Bill and for Brian, and Derek, who have been on this and been through this, and Mike, been on this, whatever. You guys are in council, I can see all of your faces as I go around, but you guys have been through this, and at times how difficult it gets and the things that have to be done. This is going to be one of those years that I've told you Walmart was tough, and I told you the subsequent declines have been tough. This year is probably going to be the worst of all of those. And I told you at that point, I hope we never have to make bigger decisions. I'm going to look at you right now and tell you there are bigger decisions that are going to have to be made, because it does us absolutely no good to run around and just keep on throwing good money after something that we don't know is coming back. And if we don't know it's coming back, we don't know when it's coming back, how do we plan and what game plan do we set in place to make sure that we get all of the core services, and those core services being the ones that you all prioritize, get those funded first, and then make the cuts, in other services that aren't deemed essential. Not that anything we do is not essential in the city. It's just there's only going to be a certain level that we can fund with the revenues that we have on an ongoing basis.
Well, the tough part is, Russ, and I know you know this, is that I feel like that we're somewhat lean on personnel already. I mean, there's a few spots probably, but I mean, we have positions that haven't been filled that, we sure could use. And, Sam retiring and some other things that, I mean, we're pretty lean already on trying to make the city operate on the staff we got. And Brian Wheatley for years has run the electric department on a base crew. I mean, I remember when it was almost just Brian by himself. So it's tough. I appreciate all the work you do, Russ. I really do.
No, and you're exactly right, Mayor. I mean, these are the tough decisions. In the budget and in these cuts, all of those positions pretty much are still in the personnel budget. I mean, we've included a majority of those as if we're going to rehire that person. But like you said, with some of these stepping out, with some of the resignations that we have, it may be the situation that we go back to a hiring freeze. Not only a position freeze, where we're not going to add any more positions, but we go back to a true hiring freeze that we're just not going to add anybody back to the payroll. Even if we lose, we'll have to move people around within the city. We'll have to do those kind of things to make it happen. I told one of the councils the other night, you guys, your $50 paycheck that you're getting paid, man, you're going to earn every penny of it in this next month with some of the decisions that you have to make.
Yeah,
I'll agree.
Go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say, I agree with you, Bill, and Russ, you too. That the last thing any one of us want to do is have any sort of layoff if we can keep from it. And, kind of along the lines of what you were saying, if somebody leaves on their own accord, and we're hurting bad enough, then that's a better option than having to do a layoff.
I agree. And well, just a second, Russ. That the positions that we have that haven't been filled, we're talking about compared to last year's budget to this year's budget. Those people, or I should say, expenses. That's probably more accurate, Russ. The expenses we had in personnel last year to where the expenses that we're going to have this year, those positions that we didn't have filled last year, they're irrelevant. They don't even pertain to this because they weren't an expense to us last year. So we've got to figure out how to cut back on the expenses that from last year going into this year now. So
now part of that is some unfilled positions that were unfilled last year. We left them. Correct. We left them in the budget. They're not filled. They're in the budget again this year, unfilled. And looking at some of those reductions.
But they weren't an expense to us though last year. So
correct.
If we're talking about cutting expenses, those positions aren't relevant to the discussion really.
Yeah. Little bit of a difference because whenever we go back and redraft the budget, we go back and bring in all of the budgeted expenses, whether they were incurred as an expense or not, related to personnel. Now, on materials and supplies and other charges and services, you're exactly right. That stuff you can kind of compare compare what we expended this year and project that out for next year. On personnel, we effectively go in and recreate a personnel budget, putting in positions, putting in things and changes and all of those pieces that happen. So we put positions back in, even if they're vacated, and then turn around, because you guys effectively authorize a position list for Larry to fill. And so that position list has these individual pieces funded. Now, you guys authorize the total budget. We've never gone in and said we're only authorizing three people in this department, 2 in that, 1 here. You guys have never broken it down that way. But whenever we create it as Larry wants. From these are the positions that need to be in there, and these are the ones that he wants funded and wants to be included in the overall operation. And from there, then we go through and make cuts. And that's whatever I'm talking right now, and I'm giving you guys that number. Just remember, this is whenever we dropped everything in that Larry wanted on those positions, wanted on the operations, wanted on the capital outlay. This is where we start. The first draft you guys see is probably going to have a $400,000 loss or less. At least that's what I would expect. By the time we get it to you, we will have already cut about $800,000 out of this budget. And then at that point, it's really down to these are the pieces that council's really wanting to make a call on. I'll throw this out there because it is one of the decisions that has to be made. Or I think it's probably going to come up to have to be made. And that's you all kind of deciding between, do we want to keep employees employed, or do we want the employees that we have employed to have the best benefit packages? And in particular, whenever you look at the cost of healthcare, and what we're doing there. So sometimes, every council is different, and every council's made different decisions on this matter. Some people have said, I'd rather have all of our employees employed and not be able to offer them full health care coverage, and subsidize the cost of their dependent health care and those other pieces, versus other councils that said, well, I would rather go ahead and keep the employees that we need the most and make sure that they have the best benefit package that's out there. So, and that's a decision that's going to come down at some point. I'm assuming Larry's not going to want to make that call on his own, but that's probably a decision that's going to be coming in this budget discussion as well.
Hey, Russ. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to say what you were saying, Russ, about, you put the total number of employees that to fill all the positions in a budget. I personally would like to see the budget for the employees we have now versus the number of employees that are desired.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It would be nice to get those numbers to see if we did a hiring freeze and we still keep those positions open, but don't fill them for a foreseeable future. What is the difference in budgeted versus actual at that case?
Yeah, and we'll have that we'll have that all lined out and scaled down by the time you get the first draft of the budget.
Any further discussion? I figure Russ is wanting to go crab hunting tonight. It's probably going to get dark down there.
Frog gigging.
It already is dark down here, man. We get dark.
I can
really
see a
early.
window. I see the window behind you. It's not dark yet, man. So, all right. If there's no more discussion on item 19, we will move to, 18, we will move to 19. Any further discussion on the budget? All right, we will move to item 19. Consider convening the executive session for one, to discuss the appraisal of interest and purchase of certain interests in real property, permanent and temporary flowage easements related to the Upper Black Bear watershed project pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B3 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended. And number two, to discuss the terms and conditions of employment of the municipal judge pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma statutes as amended. So we need a motion to go into executive session, please. And before we do this, anyone that is on now with us will be kicked off.
Motion to move into executive session.
Second.
And before you guys do that, I do want to ask Dixie to stay, if you guys are all right with that, you guys that made the motions.
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please. Dixie, you there? We lost Dixie. Something.
Okay, here I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Coldarn,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Steelbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. All right, entertain a motion to reconvene into regular session.
Move to reconvene to regular session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item 21, take any actions with respect to executive session, including authorization of acceptance of landowner offers and or approval of the First Amendment of employment agreement with the municipal judge.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the First Amendment to the employment agreement of Municipal Judge Sherry DeBoer.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Is there any other action?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion in regard to the Upper Black Bear Watershed Project. The first part being that I would authorize that the city manager and the city attorney be authorized to secure the properties that we can at this time. Secondly, that a letter would be sent by the mayor and the city manager to those properties that we have not come to agreement with. And thirdly, that there would be a resolution of necessity for the balance of the properties we have not come to agreement with for the June 1st city council meeting.
Second, Marshall.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Any other actions? Seeing none then, item 22, any new business that needs to come before the council this evening?
Anybody notice Jamie's in a new office?
I moved. I had to come up here so I could control the dogs. They were barking.
Take your kids, tell them to walk the dogs. That's what I see them all the time in my neighborhood, walking the dogs. I figure Jamie gets tired, sends her kids walking the dogs.
I'd rather just put them up for adoption. No, I'm just kidding.
The kids are the dogs.
The dogs.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 23, motion on adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Marshall.
Roll call, please.
Third, Wines.
Coldern,
Yes.
Bond,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Have a good